Okay, so this is different to the team on my main channel. I've decided to change the team up a bit. If you want to see those videos, there's links in the description, but this is well better than those teams I created. I start my journey off like any ordinary trainer. I head to Professor Oak's lab where I get to pick one of the 3 starter Pokemon, Bulbasaur, Charmander and Squirtle. With Bulbasaur being my favourite, pick Bulbasaur. I'm just going to assume that my rival is Gary for now, and usually in the games, the rival gets the Pokemon that has the type advantage against yours, so really he should get Charmander, but in the anime Gary chooses Squirtle anyway, so he gets Squirtle, and I challenge him to a battle but he declines, saying I'm not worth it, but really he's just scared they'll lose because his Pokemon has a type disadvantage. After passing through Route 1, I end up stopping at Viridian City to rest at the Pokemon Center, where I am attacked by 2 Team Rocket grunts that are robbing the Pokemon Center. I end up defeating them with my Bulbasaur, but after that they think that my Bulbasaur is really strong and start following me everywhere trying to steal my Pokemon. Look, I'm just going to assume that they're Jesse and James for now, but they could be any random Team Rocket grunts. Hey! Maybe they're Butch and Cassidy. I leave Viridian City and head to Viridian Forest, where I encounter and catch my first wild Pokemon, Caterpie. Because come on, Butterfree's my favourite Pokemon, of course I want to catch a Caterpie. I leave Viridian Forest and go to challenge the gym leader, Brock. Look, this battle was pretty easy with my Bulbasaur having the type advantage against his rock Pokemon. So yep, gym badge number 1, mine. While on Route 3, I end up capturing a Nidoran female and a Spearow. After rescuing a guy from a gang of Zubat, I head up into Mount Moon, where I go to investigate who is wrecking the wild Pokemon's habitat by setting up loads of lights. While in there, I end up capturing a Sandshrew, adding it to my team and also making it my first ground type. The people setting up the lights and disturbing the wild Pokemon is none other than Team Rocket. I defeat them and it turns out they were looking for the Moonstone that was guarded by the Clefairy, believed to come from outer space. Before leaving Mount Moon, I actually end up capturing one of the Clefairy. I go to Cerulean City, where I beat the water gym leader Misty and earn myself a Cascade badge. After meeting up with a Pokemon researcher called Bill, I head down to Vermilion City to earn my Thunder badge. While there, I do some fishing and end up hooking up a Horsey. I capture it, adding it to my team. I beat Lieutenant Surge, the electric-type gym leader, and earn myself a Thunder badge. And after that, I go onto a cruise ship called the SS to head to Celadon City. While battling loads of trainers aboard the SS my Nidoran gains enough experience and evolves into Nidorina. Oh yeah, and Team Rocket attack the ship and try to steal everyone's Pokemon, and they end up causing the ship to sink, but don't worry, I get off in time, so does, well, most of the people. Knowing that the Celadon City gym leader, Erica, uses Grass-type Pokemon, I decide to go out and capture a Fire-type Pokemon. And that Fire-type Pokemon being Vulpix. I end up stopping at Lavender Town, where I go into the Pokemon Tower. There, I capture a Ghastly, but since my team is already full, it is transferred to Professor Oak's lab. After beating Fuchsia City's Poison-type gym leader, Koga, I head to the Safari Zone. While there, I encounter a wild Venonat. My Vulpix beats it in a battle, and as I'm about to throw a Pokeball to capture it, it evolves into Venomoth and sends an army of Venonat after me. But the Venonat aren't very strong and my Vulpix defeats them easily. I end up capturing the Venomoth and it is sent to Professor Oak's lab. After defeating Sabrina and her psychic-type Pokemon at the Saffron City Gym, I earn a Marsh Badge and I head over to Cinnabar Island, where I earn myself a Volcano Badge after beating the Fire-type gym leader Blaine. While looking through my bag, I find the Moonstone that Clefairy gave to me back at Mount Moon. I use it to evolve Nidorina into Nidoqueen. I also use a Firestone that I had in my bag that I bought back at Celadon City and used it to evolve Vulpix into Ninetales. Then I realised how dumb I was as I passed right through the ground-type gym at Viridian City. So I end up buying a bike at a bike store and start cycling back to Viridian City to face the gym leader and earn an Earth Badge. Deciding to change my team up a bit, I send my Sandshrew back to Professor Oak's lab and bring in my Ghastly to add to my team. I head to Viridian City where I'm ready to finally face the gym leader, where the gym leader is revealed to be Giovanni, the leader of Team Rocket. Because he's away, Jesse and James are filling in for him. And, well, it's an easy battle. During the battle, my Ghastly evolves into Haunter. After blasting Team Rocket off and getting my Earth Badge, my Horsey evolves into Seadra and becomes very disobedient. Seadra wouldn't listen to any of my commands in battle, and it even cost me to lose a battle before going into the Pokemon League. So, I decided to put it in training. My Seadra goes into a training with a guy called, let's just call him Dave for now, to make my Seadra more obedient and more stronger. Needing a new water type on my team, I end up catching a Poliwag. For the first 2 rounds of the Pokemon League, I end up using this team here. However, for the 3rd round, I actually end up using my Venomoth. And then, for the 4th round, I end up using my Sandshrew, who evolves into Sandslash during the battle. And in the 5th round, I battle against some weird kid called Richie. It turns out he's pretty strong, as he defeats me in battle. And just like that, I lost the league. I'm really upset by my loss, but I decided to head to the Orange Islands, a group of islands on the outside of Kanto. As soon as I arrive on the Orange Islands, I find a Lapras. It's only a baby, and it was separated from its herd, and it was being beaten by these teenagers. I stop the teenagers and capture the Lapras. Travelling around the Orange Islands is a lot easier thanks to Lapras, as I can sit on his back and he can swim from island to island for me. After earning my first gym badge, my Poliwag evolves into Poliwhirl. Before going to the Orange League, I end up capturing a Cyfler, adding it to my team. But this Cyfler is very disobedient, so I have to send it back to Professor Oak's lab. I'm about to transfer my Poliwhirl back over to using the Orange League, but I get a call off Dave, who transfers my Seadra over, as it's now really obedient and strong. Even though my Seadra is now my strongest Pokemon, as it's been in training for so long, and so my other Pokemon really strong and experienced, I end up losing the league, so RIP. Don't become the Orange League champion like Ash. Before I leave the Orange Islands, I end up releasing my Lapras back into the ocean, so it can be with its family again. And even though my Seadra is now my strongest Pokemon, I send it back into training to make it even more stronger. And Professor Oak tells me about a new region called the Johto region, so that's where I'm heading next. Before I go to the Johto region, however, I have to go and investigate some trouble at Professor Oak's lab. For some reason, all the Pokemon were falling asleep. Even Professor Oak himself was falling asleep, and some of his assistants were as well. It turns out there's a wild Jigglypuff that had snuck into the lab and was using its slumber song to send everyone to sleep. After a battle, I end up capturing the Jigglypuff. My sister, Heidi, who's just started her Pokemon journey, has just picked her starter Pokemon. I decided to give her the Jigglypuff to help her a little bit on her journey. Once I'm done making my team, I'm gonna make a video going over her Pokemon team. So check that out when it comes out. Anyway, when I arrive at the Johto region, my first catch is actually a Spinarak. And after I catch the Spinarak, I also capture a Mareep. Mareep's electric attacks make it very easy to beat Falconer, the flying-type gym leader, and earn my first badge. I actually hear about wild Cyndaquils roaming the area. I'm really excited because I know that Cyndaquils are the fire-type starter of the Johto region. To make space on my team to catch one, I end up sending my Ninetales back to Professor Oak's lab, as I don't really need 2 fire types. After capturing the Cyndaquil, I end up finding a wild Chikorita that's been following me. It has a crush on my Bulbasaur, so I decide to capture it. It's sent to Professor Oak's lab, so I decide to take my Haunter out of the team and instead bring in my newly caught Chikorita. I'm really happy that I've got 2 of the Johto starters now. I end up beating the Bug-type gym leader, Bugsy, and then I beat the normal-type gym leader, Whitney. Hearing about new evolutions for old Pokemon from the Kanto region, I decide to send my Spinarak back to the lab, and after some research, I found out that Cyfler has a new evolution, so I transfer my Cyfler over. My Cyfler is still really disobedient, but after I save it from Team Rocket, it ends up starting to obey me. Cyfler even helps me beat the Ghost-type gym leader, earning me my 4th badge. Soon after, Cyfler ends up evolving into Scizor. After learning that the next gym leader uses fighting-type Pokemon, I decided I could use one of my own fighting-type Pokemon, but I don't have any fighting-type Pokemon. But then I realised if I bring in my Poliwhirl and use a Water Stone and evolve it into Poliwrath, it'll become a water fighting type. So I bring in my Poliwhirl. But before I can use my Water Stone to evolve it into a Poliwrath, it ends up evolving to a Politoed. And I'm not very happy about that. But I use it for the gym anyway, and I end up winning. Yeah. But I still transfer Politoed back to the lab anyway. Shortly after, my Mareep evolves into Flaffy, and my Cyndaquil evolves into Quilava. Needing a water Pokemon, I end up capturing an Eevee, and I'm planning to use the same Water Stone I was originally going to use on Poliwhirl, and to evolve my Eevee into a Vaporeon. After earning my 6th gym badge, I decide it's time to evolve my Eevee into Vaporeon. But before I can, I end up getting into a Pokemon battle with a trainer. I use my Eevee, and my Eevee gets so happy after winning that it evolves on its own. When Eevees evolve on their own, they'll evolve into Espeon if it's day, and Umbreon if it's night. And seeing as it was day, my Eevee evolved into Espeon. Now that my Eevee is an Espeon, I can't evolve into a Vaporeon, so I need another water type. So I end up capturing a Marill and adding it to my team. While doing some training, my Quilava evolves into Typhlosion, and my Flaffy evolves into Ampharos. My Marill also ends up evolving into a Azumarill after earning my 7th badge. After getting my final badge in the Johto region, it's finally time to enter the Johto League. I end up using my main Johto team for the first few rounds of the league, but when I heard that I had to face my rival soon, I decided I'm going to need to get a really, really strong team with some of my stronger Pokemon. The only reason I'm doing this is because my rival has always been better than me. He's always been more ahead of me during our adventures, and yeah, he's got really strong Pokemon, and every battle I've had with him so far I've lost. And he's also the winner of the Kanto League, so yeah. So, Professor Oak sends over some of my stronger Pokemon, and I'm finally ready for the big battle. I even bring over my Seadra, who has done so much training that it's evolved into Kingler. But before the battle, I'm approached by my rival. he tells me about trade evolution, how some Pokemon, when traded, can evolve. And I have one of those Pokemon, being Haunter, and he has one of those Pokemon, being Graveler. So we decided to trade. I trade my Haunter for his Graveler, and as soon as Graveler is on my team, it evolves into Golem due to the trade evolution. I trade Golem back for my Haunter, who through the trade evolution evolved into Gengar. My rival battle is very, very tough. One of the toughest battles I've had yet. And soon we're both down to one Pokemon. And it ends with my Typhlosion versus his Blastoise. The battle is tough, but in the end, even though my Typhlosion has a type disadvantage, it wins, and I finally defeated my rival. Then I go up against a guy called Harrison from the Hoenn region. No one cares about him, I defeat him anyway. So yeah. My next opponent is going to be Dave. Dave is the guy who was training my Seadra, if you remember. Well, my Seadra who's now a Kingdra, and he's just a made-up character, obviously. I know that Dave will be very, very strong because of the way he trains my Pokemon. I mean, him training my Kingdra caused it to become one of my strongest Pokemon. However, my Kingdra got so attached to Dave through training that it refuses to battle him. So I'm forced to send it back to Professor Oak's lab. To fill in Kingdra's spot, I end up bringing in my Bulbasaur, my further Pokemon, to help me with this battle. The battle is very tough. His Pokemon end up sweeping through most of my team, but my Typhlosion, being one of my strongest Pokemon, is able to wipe through a lot of his team, and it all comes down to my Typhlosion versus his Charizard. Fight fire with fire is what basically happened, but my Typhlosion ends up getting beaten by his Charizard, and so I'm kicked out of the Johto League, and Dave goes on to win the competition. And just like that, my Johto journey is over. I send all my Pokemon back to Professor Oak's lab, and my Kingdra is sent back into training with Dave, the new champion of the Johto region. Remembering how Harrison was from the Hoenn, that's where I decide to head next. So I only decide to bring my Bulbasaur and Butterfree, my two first Pokemon. And yeah. Okay, so that was part 1 of my full Pokemon team. In part 2, I'll be doing Hoenn, the Battle Frontier, and Sinnoh. So check out for that part. Goodbye!